let's have a proper engagement ahead of Edo 2024 global election. It's August 8th. An election is scheduled for September 21st, 2024. So we have just less than 2 months, 1 month and a few weeks. So we have 7 more Saturdays to election. So let's look at the issues, the role of the media, the role of the electoral body, the role of the voters, what you need to know ahead of the election. I have a guest seated with me here in the studio. I have the Nawaj chair of Edo State, Adesua Ehimwa. I hope I called it right.
Yeah,
okay, all right. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. I have Dr. Akinwelu, the Executive Director of Semerso. I'll tell you the full meaning of Semerso later on. Good morning, Doc.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Okay. Welcome, viewers.
Okay. So let's set a part straight between your doctorates. Is he medical doctor or academic doctor?
Oh, academic.
Okay, academic. All right. Then I also have Lanre Arogundade.
Yes.
I called it right?
Sure.
Okay, the Executive Director of IPC. Good morning and good to have you on the show.
Good morning. Thank you very much. Good morning, viewers.
Okay. Okay. They said ladies first. Let me start with the lady. Nawaj chair. Women in journalists, right? You are the chairperson. Now let's look at the role of the media. You know, where we are now in electoral process. How can these people, how can we really engage the voters, what they need to know about elections? Because the fallout of 2023 presidential election, the hope of so many Nigerians have been dashed. When you ask 1 or 2 persons, will you vote in Edo? I beg, we concern election. So how do we build back this confidence through the media?
Yeah, thank you so much. Basically, what you said regards the last election that was held in 2023, the presidential election, it generated a lot of voter apathy, not just in Edo State, I'm sure also at, let's just say at the national level. I think so one way we could actually change the narrative now is to make sure that there is adequate voter education. So we have to educate the public to tell them why it is pertinent for them to come out and vote to exercise their franchise come September 21st, 2024, where the gubernatorial elections will be held here in Edo State. So we at the media, looking at the stakeholders, media engagement we had yesterday, put together by the Society of Media and Society. It was an awesome outing.
It was
very
really
educative
awesome.
And of course insightful. So there we actually resolved that we are going to go back and of course talk to our colleagues, let them see why it is important for the media to play its ethical role in the electionary process.
As the fourth estate of the realm.
As the fourth estate of the realm and the watchdog of the society. We should try as much as we can to make sure that all our reports, all our news, be it on radio, be it on TV, be it on the new media, which is the online social platform, whichever, be it on YouTube, whichever channel you're using, ensure you abide to the ethics of the profession and make sure your news are free, fair, balanced, objective, accurate. Double check your facts. That's one importance of fact checking. You understand? So before you send out any information, before, during, and even after the election, make sure you abide by the ethics of the profession to avoid misinformation and disinformation, which could actually lead to a lot of issues in our state. So we are trying to safeguard the entire electionary process and make sure the media does its role ethically and make sure all reports on the airwaves are balanced, objective and accurate, no propaganda. Thank you.
Doctor, you're smiling. Now, the role of your organization, how will it really impact this election positively?
Thank you very much. And I want to thank Adesua already putting on the table information about the activity that we just had here in Benin City yesterday, bringing together journalists from across the state. It's part of our strategy to play our role in the forthcoming governorship elections in Edo State. This role, specific role, is to strengthen the media, that's journalists in particular, to be able to deepen, as we say, to diversify the delivery of voter education. So as Adesua mentioned earlier on, we sat down and looked at the political context, or civic education context, of Edo State. We looked at the way programming has been going on in terms of civic education and what needs to be added, to strengthen that effort. We looked at the kinds of programs, the kinds of program formats that journalists have been deploying. We looked at language, for example. We looked at regulatory limits, both self-regulatory limits and even statutory regulatory limits, to make sure, that all that's done is professional. And the total aim is to ensure that journalists carry out their duties professionally, that they deliver education, not just to the citizens, voters, as we say, or prospective voters, but also to other stakeholders, such as security agencies, such as other kind of stakeholders, civil society groups that are part of the electoral process. This is a multi-stakeholder initiative. When we talk of an electoral process or electoral conduct of elections, we are talking of a conduct that involves many stakeholders.
Absolutely.
At the center, you have the election management body, then you have other institutions who must play their roles. If any particular institution is not playing its role, there will be a problem.
True.
So the election management body, security agencies, the media, and so on and so forth, all. And we looked at that, how the media will do its work better, so that we'll have a better conducted election, an election that is free, fair, credible, inclusive. Edo State is a very, very important state, for everyone. I'm happy, with
the heartbeat of the nation.
So
you can't take away the heartbeat from the life of a man.
No, you can't. So we're looking forward, to a well-conducted election with very, very good outcomes that everyone will be proud of.
Okay. Larry, you're just smiling like one Yoruba man that wants to go and marry Yahoo. Okay, let's talk about the IPC, where you also represent. They said a whole lot about these processes. Do you think there should be more engagement by organizations like which you represent to the people in order for them to know that this thing called election is your civic right and responsibility? It's not a privilege. Do you understand? So some persons seem to have, even before 2023, a lot of persons don't have confidence in the electoral process. What do we do to bring back the confidence of people to go out on election day to vote?
Well, IPC, that's the International Press Center, we are partnering with the Center for Media and Society to carry out these initiatives, part of which was what happened yesterday.
Yeah, that engagement was robust. I was there.
And then before yesterday, we were also here to have an engagement with the INEC, the police, the Civil Defense Corps, because we realized that for people to have confidence in the electoral process, they need assurances. They need assurance that their votes will count. They need assurance that the technologies would work, because these were some of the things that caused disaffection with the last election. So now the expectation is that results will be uploaded to IREB, and hopefully there will be no problems. And then the process of collecting PVCs, and even INEC itself explaining to citizens, what will happen. For the police, part of the context of this Edo election is tension here and there. We've seen, elements of violence. So what assurance would a voter have that if I come out to cast my vote and nothing would happen to me, I will be protected? That is very, very important. The same thing for the civil defense corps. The whole idea is for us to recognize that we are all stakeholders when it comes to this election, and civil society organizations and the rest of them need to bring the issues to the people. The good thing is that we've seen people still registering to vote for these elections. From the figures that we got at the program yesterday, we are talking of almost 800,000 plus new, registrants for this process. So which means that actually people will be willing to exercise their franchise despite the disappointment of the past. Okay. And the point is to say that at the end of the day, we're in a democracy, there's still no alternative to it. Yeah. So even though we may have all these problems, we should still strive to go and vote for parties, of our choice. Because at the end of the day, we would expect them to perform. And if you don't they say you put your money where your mouth is, you have to be part of the process, for this thing to actually, work. And that is why one of the critical messages we are passing across is also that for the media, in reporting this process, they also have to be conflict sensitive. We need to be very, very careful.
Absolutely.
So that the agenda that we would set will be the agenda of the people. In fact, we asked ourselves earlier, what are the issues of the people? What do the people want whoever becomes governor to do for them? That should be our major, major concern. When we bring politicians, naturally they want to throw accusations, they want to do all those kind of things, but we are trying to say, please, let us, how do I put it?
Douse the tension.
Lower the temperature.
Absolutely.
And we don't want media to be held responsible for anything that would mar this
put
election.
Problem on the outside.
So this is just part of the role that we are playing.
Okay. No, Adesua, he mentioned about the recent figures of people getting their PVCs. Now, do you actually think the people are getting their PVC because they want to vote? Or I know I asked that question. Okay. If you ask a lot of Nigerians, why do you have PVC? They will tell you, if I get problem for bank, they'll say, I bring PVC. No, that is the truth. Majority of persons, that is the mindset they have. Because we have 4 valid ID cards in Nigeria. Your voter's card, your NIN, your driver's license, and your international passport. So anybody who cannot afford this other 3, because it's very cumbersome, the next one is voter's card. So let me just have it in case I have issues. So do you actually think this drive is for electoral purposes? Then if it is, what can the media really do as the NAWOJ chair in order to take away this whole voter apathy? Because a lot of persons will tell you, what concern election, and then my ask that they not be me the one queue. Because a lot of persons have seen election to be like a war zone, which in the right sense ought not to be.
Yeah, well, I think basically the large numbers of PVC gotten the figures INEC actually declared for those who register for their PVC. I think it's laudable in the sense that we are very optimistic people, which does people of Edo State and Nigeria at large are very, very optimistic. Most times we don't dwell on our past.
True.
We're hoping for a better tomorrow, hoping that there will definitely be light at the end of the tunnel, no matter how things have been, probably in the past. We are all optimistic. So I'm sure they were actually full of enthusiasm, hoping for a better electoral process and hoping that their votes will count. That's why the electorate came out in March and registered for the continuous voters registration exercise, which was held. And that's why we have such large numbers for the permanent voters card, which is ready. And I'm sure soon INEC will be announcing the dates for the collections of these PVCs by the electorate. Then what the media could actually do, you understand, to make sure that voter apathy is reduced to the minimum, is to make sure we have lots of voters educative programs to enlighten them on why they should come out and vote on the day of the election. You understand? And also to encourage them to make them know that their votes will count. You understand? After the election, that whatever has happened in the past is past. All stakeholders are working together this time around as a theme to make sure we have a successful and transparent Edo State Gubernatorial election. So, and also part of the voters' education is also to encourage people who have attained the age of 18 to get involved in the process. And basically, everybody has to be part of the electionary process. You understand? Because you can't just say, on that day, I'm going to be at home. No, it's high time we change the narrative. You understand? It's high time we have to exercise our franchise because it's our right to determine who we elect as our governor to rule us.
Okay. Doc, let me come to you. As a doc, you have vast experience. Let's move to the youth. The youth, where I belong, we know they constitute a higher percentage in terms of elections and voting. The youths of today seem to be disappointed. We are still, today is day 8 of the hashtag End Bad Governance protest. They said it's 10 days and that 10 days must be complete. Some persons are still in Abuja protesting in the Freedom Park, Gani Fayemi Park and other places. What can really be done to change the mindset of the youth? Because they keep telling the youth, we are the leaders of tomorrow. Tomorrow have come, we'll look for another tomorrow. Another tomorrow is coming. What do we do as the youths, as the leaders of tomorrow? What will be the message to them that it is your civic responsibility, go there, vote, no violence? Because if you look at the electoral violence, they don't use elderly men like you. It is the youth that they use. So what will be the message to the youth?
Okay, thank you very much. This is very interesting. You have made the point, about the strength of the demography called youth.
Yeah.
When you look at it, the largest figures are there, and that has implications for the electoral process.
Absolutely.
Meaning that if the youth collectively make up their minds that yes, the vote is going to swing in this direction, that's the direction where to go, if they get the act right.
Yeah.
In every democratic and development process, it is smart for every government, every country to want to invest in its youth. That's where the bulk of the energy of development lies. So we must continue, to invest in our youth and continue to encourage them. One of the important points, that we must stress in our narrative, towards in our engagement with the youth, should be that democracy is always a work in motion, work in progress, so to speak. You won't get a perfect democracy too soon. It's not a 100-meter dash where you are building a democracy. You must be ready for a marathon.
Okay.
Yes, there have been disappointments about the last general elections, but when you look at it, there have been disappointments with previous elections before that.
They are true.
And so what happens is that every time we finish an election, stakeholders sit back, go back to the drawing board to say, yes, these were the gaps, in the last election, and then, we try, to rectify, to deal with those gaps.
Absolutely.
So I have seen, that the stakeholders, in the electoral process in Nigeria have gone back to the drawing board after the last election. I'm sure the election management body, for example, INEC has done that. The media, have also done that, because even the media has its own gap in performance, despite the very heavy high score performance. There are still gaps.
Absolutely.
So youths, should be encouraged by letting them know, that democracy is work in progress.
Okay.
So if there were disappointments the last time because of gaps in that election, those disappointments will be rectified. I mean, those gaps will be rectified. And then a better election will happen. Okay. And then, that they should also get involved in the process of rectifying those gaps to make sure that those things that we weren't happy about that happened that time will not repeat themselves this time around. Okay. And that they should then get ready to participate actively in the elections and make sure that their votes count and make sure that we get put into office the right candidate, the right person.
Okay. Lanre, let's now look at the candidate itself, the playing field, the environment. A lot of persons or politicians per se, they have a way of doing their things. You'll be thinking your own here as a media practitioner. They are thinking they are somewhere as politicians. In terms of the tension, what can civil society organization like yours do to douse electoral? Because we saw what happened last month in Edo, the shootings, even they lost, a life was lost. A police officer, he has a family, he has wife and children. He told the family, I'm going to work. But unfortunately, he did not return, or in the name of politics and all that. What would be your own words to the political players, party A, party B, party C? We have 18 political parties contesting for this election. What would be your take for the candidates? What should they do to not to put the environment in tension so that people will not be scared?
Well, I think political parties have, next to INEC, they have the most important responsibility of ensuring that the elections, are peaceful. Because part of the problem is that the tension that we see at elections are spillovers from the primaries.
Absolutely.
Where there are disagreements, moving from one party to the other. Yeah, but one thing normally happens before each election. The National Peace Committee, through the Kuka Center, normally brings all the political parties together to sign a peace accord. And it will happen in Edo State, I'm sure, very, very soon. And we also work with the Kuka Center and other organizations, CIMESO, IPC. What civil society organizations should do is to hold those political parties accountable for those peace accord that they signed. And we, the media, should also do it. If you sign the peace accord and your party members are defaulting, we need to call them out to say that, look, this is what you have done. And we need to publicize that. We need to let everybody know that they have signed peace accord. We should let the political parties, their leaders, they should take that message. Once you sign that peace accord, go and talk to your members. Because if the whole environment gets disrupted, then you begin to challenge the result of the election.
Yes, in the election petition tribunals and all that.
So I think that's what they can do. Now, for the youth, I want to add one point, really, because yes, we are elders now, but we're elderly youth, and we are once youth leaders. Our guy here was so that you know leader at the University of Ife.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing.
he was public relations officer of the University of Ife around the period of Ali Must Go.
Ali Must Go period.
So the left protest, even myself too.
You also left protest.
I was NANS president. I used to come to United.
NANS president. That was a big office, you know.
Before under the military.
Wow.
So we've also gone through this. But there was something we did that time that I think the youth can copy. We had what we called the NANS Charter of Demands. I would be glad if Edo youths, the organizations that represent them, they can come together and say, this is the charter of we youths in Edo State. And present it to each of the political parties and say, we want to know your commitment towards this charter. The youth can even organize debates for the political parties. The media is taking
the good one is the media is already on that. My station is doing one tomorrow.
Yes, good. The media
we have one tomorrow.
You see, the beauty of democracy is that let's encourage groups. Women groups can organize debates. Youths can organize debates. Partner with a station like your own and say, we are youths. These are demands we want to ask the political parties. So then you document all those things.
What's in your manifesto?
That they say they will do. No, to even document them. So if you as youth, you confront them. They say, okay, not confront. You meet with them. And they say, we do this. Keep those things.
Track record. As
when they get elected,
you start asking them.
Now begin to ask your questions. So we shouldn't feel that it's... I agree with you that some people collect PVC for other purposes. But we are also now saying that, look, that PVC too... It's your own,
it has a major
democratic right to make use of it and use it, wisely.
And this is why you wanted to say something before.
I actually to add to what he said regards politicians and hitting up the policy.
Hitting up the policy.
I think one major way we would actually avoid that is to avoid campaign of calumny. Tell us what your candidates can do for us. You understand? Let us see their manifestos. Let them come out and interact with the electorate. You understand? Let them bring out their scorecards of what they have done in the past and what they will do for the people of Edo State when they emerge. So there's no need for any campaign of calumny eating up the policy with lots of propagandas. All these are uncalled for. You understand? Engage in debates, meet with the people, go to the rural areas, go for meetings, attend town hall meetings, let the people know what's on your blueprints for Edo State. And I think if we could actually engage in all of this, sure, everything will go well, peaceful and calm.
Doc, let's look at a very big problem on election day. Vote buying. You're laughing, but that is the truth. Now, we are in an economic situation where some persons cannot even afford 5 or 10,000. Now, one of the big political parties comes, vote for my candidate, we'll give you 20K. And the person will now weigh the option of 20K. What exactly 20K can really do in this economy and weigh to just thumbprint on a paper. Don't you think vote buying is also a problem in terms of election in Nigeria? It has been there, but with the way the economy is now, aren't you seeing a higher percentage come 21st of September?
Thank you very much. this issue of vote buying or vote trading, as some would say, is one of the big challenges facing the conduct of elections in Nigeria. And we have seen over time that stakeholders, particularly the political class, have become more and more sophisticated
to this.
On this matter.
It's like it's their job, it's their business.
Yes. And because of the situation, in town, so to speak, the way the economy, has gone, they get, to pass this thing through to trade and get away with it. Going forward, a number of things, that I've suggested, that should be done.
Okay.
One would be that existing arrangements in legislation, for example, should be enforced.
Okay.
Maybe reformed and enforced. Definitely, vote trading is a misconduct during elections. Is an offense during elections, and we must ensure, that the provisions in the law that are there are enforced by the appropriate agencies. I know, for example, that the National Assembly has been in the process of enacting an electoral offences law.
I think they even have an electoral offences tribunal to that.
Yes, you head to that as part of it, to enforce and all of that, which has not been finalized. I think more than ever, it is urgent for the National Assembly and the presidency to complete that process to ensure that that bill becomes law and that the enforcement begins immediately. Other existing pieces of legislation that have to do with vote trading should also be enforced, meaning therefore that the appropriate government agencies that are in charge of this should be ready to carry out their assignments properly during this electoral process. The second part of it is to continue and deepen voter education. To say to our people the kind of narrative that tells them that, look, 5,000, 10,000, or 15 or 20,000.
Highest 20,000.
Highest 20,000.
For 4 years.
How many pots of soup would
can it cook?
Can it cook? Maybe, okay, at best, maybe one pot of soup. low, I mean, low-level soup.
Low-level soup?
Low-level soup, which you finish one day or 2 days.
Which one is low-level soup?
There are levels.
It goes to the market.
It goes to the market.
That's what's happening.
Okay.
And then, you trade away, 4 years. The guy gets into office, and he says, yeah, I paid you, so don't just disturb me, let me do whatever I want to do. And he ends up spending 4 years in office doing next to nothing. So what will you do? And the suffering continues. So to strengthen the narrative in engaging the people in voter education, that this is like sacrificing our future by the time, we begin to accept all of this. And by collaborating, with the appropriate agencies, that is voters, to be able to deal with people who indulge in this kind of trading. Okay.
I wanted to go to Larry, but I'll come to you guys. So I want to balance the gender equality so that they will not say she's the only female and I'm not allowing her to talk. So go ahead.
In addendum to what Doc just said, you understand, I think the major challenge we have is money politics. You understand? If this can be reduced to the barest minimum. You understand? It will change the narrative in the entire electoral process. Yes, money politics. Yes. Let's be realistic here. If you're going for any position, the cost of forms, nomination forms,
it's outrageous
across all the political
parties, whether the big ones or the small ones.
You understand? And then you have to start paying homage. We have
to the
their leaders, their stakeholders at the party level, at the local government level, at the state level. By the time you check how much it's going into all of these, it's really dumbfounding.
It is.
Yeah, so if we can change the narrative. You understand, bring down the cost of all of these nomination forms across all the parties, you understand, make it more make it more realistic, or make it more, I don't use the word cheap.
Cheap,
affordable.
Affordable for people to be
you understand?
able to.
I mean, also, then more youth will indicate interest in governance and in politics. And also women will also come out en masse to participate
the Senate
in
only
governance.
For women, yes, 409.
Yes, and this will encourage them to be in the front burners and also to be political actors. In Edo State House of Assembly, we have just 2 women.
Yeah, 2.
Out of 24.
Out of 24.
So I think it's high time we begin to change the narrative. And I'm sure if these political parties could look into all of these, you understand, and make it more realistic. I'm sure more people will indicate interest in politics. So let's try as much as we can as a state and as a nation to look into money politics and how it can be reduced to the barest minimum. And I'm sure if this is looked at holistically, we'll be able to change the narrative. More youth.
We get involved.
More women.
We get involved.
Yes, in politics and governance.
Okay.
That's my take.
We have less than 4 or 5 minutes to go. Let me ask you another question before I take your parting shot. What do we do in managing pre-electoral and post-electoral violence, Larry?
Well, what we need to do...
Because the truth is, violence must be there. It's a must, but we have to manage it.
But it shouldn't be there. It shouldn't be there.
Okay, it shouldn't.
So, I feel that, I mean, we go back to the youth, because you said at the beginning that it's young people that are used to propagate this violence. And our message to them really is that it's not worth it. Okay. Because they also give them money to go out and do this violence. So it's the same message about selling your vote. It's the same thing. When you collect 5,000, 10,000 to go and cause mayhem, at the end of the day, it's your money they will use to spend all these things. So we don't need that violence. And young people can take a lead in that. If they can come together and tell the political parties that we are not going to be agents of violence, we'll be very, very happy. Even this vote buying, something happened in Ghana in the last general election. Young people organized themselves and started rejecting money from politicians. And they were telling them that, no, we don't need money, even as bad as the economy was as at that time. They can also do the same thing. Go around the communities, talk to their parents that, look, don't collect money, just vote according to your conscience. Okay. I think the police needs to be much more accountable. In the countdown, we need more assurances from them in terms of their strategies, their deployment, and their neutrality. To say that our own will protect the people, will not act as agents of any of the political parties.
They will not be partisan.
They will not be partisan. That's what I think.
All right, so we have less than 3 minutes. One minute our parting shot. Let me start with Doc. No, let me start with you. So does it look now what your parting shot?
For the media, we'll do our best to make sure all our reportage are free, fair, balanced, accurate, and we'll double check all our reports before broadcast. And we also work on maybe slogans, like we all agreed yesterday at the stakeholders meeting we held to do little slogans or adverts or promos. You understand, like with narrative like votes, not fights. You understand, go out and exercise your franchise. It's your right to vote. Thank you.
Doc, your
Yes, I implore our professionals, that is our colleagues, the journalists on ground, to go into this process and do their job professionally. We know it's going to be a bit challenging because of the way it is, but we trust that with the deployment of professionalism, they'll do well. I also want to encourage the security agencies to help protect journalists in the course of...
the lives of the journalists need to be protected?
Yes, to be protected. Very important to be able to carry out this important duty of voter education during this process. And then the people of Edo State, I want to say that the whole world, is with you in this matter. We are all with you. We want you to have a successful election.
Well, conducting the election, the same year US is conducting the election.
Yes.
So it's a big one.
Yeah, it's a big one. We are with the people of Edo State in all of this, and we want you to have a very successful election. So we encourage the people here to turn out en masse and cast their votes, and we pray that the right candidate will win after the elections must have been conducted.
Okay, Larry.
Well, it's the same message.
Absolutely.
Just to also remind our colleagues, journalists, and media professionals that we have given ourselves a code. It's called the Nigerian Media Code of Election Coverage. That says we must be credible, we must pay attention to the issues that affect women, youth, people in the rural areas. Their voices matter in this election. So let's all join hands for us to have a credible and a peaceful election.
Wow, thank you very much. We just hope we still have more time because we need to engage the people ahead of the election so they know the right thing to do. Maybe next time you guys will still join me on the show, we'll talk about it. Thank you very much, Adesua, for joining me. Thank you, Doc. Thank you, Larry. That's the size of our package on the show this beautiful morning, and it's been a great time giving you up-to-speed information you need to know ahead of the election. Like they will always say, election no be war. Go there, cast your vote for the right person. Vote for the candidate of your choice, the person you think can actually move Edo from where it is now to where you want it to be.